I am Diana Rose, and I bring a unique commentary to your favorite reality TV shows and whatever is popping on social media. If you are not a subscriber, please become one. Hit that notification bell too, that way you don't miss any of my videos. I go by Diana Rose on all platforms, and I appreciate every single one of y'all for rocking with me. What's up, Supreme Team, and welcome to the channel. It's your girl, Diana Rose. I'm here to talk to y'all about the Grayson trial. I have been watching this this week, and I wanted to make sure I did my part and keep this lady's name alive. We're going to see if justice is served in this case, but welcome to the channel, everyone. I appreciate y'all for coming in and coming through. If you can hear the sound of my voice, let me know by saying hello, giving me your city, your state, your country, your island, your continent, wherever you are from, because that's how we do it over here at the Cookout Child. We like to say hello to the folks. So if you can, if you will, let me know, let me know. Come on in, y'all. We are talking about Miss Sonya Massey, okay? Let me get myself up here. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the channel. Nice to have y'all. So we are talking about the Grayson case, and I actually put a poll at the top of the chat because I wanted to see where you guys are so far with it. This is their third day of testimony, so I'm going to catch you guys up on what's been going on with the trial because it is not televised. The judge actually denied allowing live streamers to come into the courtroom because of, I guess, it's such a hot button topic and the emotionality part of it. So I've been reading it. There is a lot going on. I dropped a video last night that took me a long time to record and get posted. So I am coming live today to have the conversation with y'all and get you to talk about it because a lot's going on. I know that Ajika Owens, there's a documentary of how she lost her life on Netflix right now. And I was reading that they had put up a GoFundMe when she had passed away. And it, kind of crawled with people giving money or donating. But after the Netflix documentary, maybe, I think they said 1 to 2 weeks, it rose to over $500,000. So that's a lot of money. I'm happy that those kids will, because it'll go to her children. I'm happy that the kids will have something in the absence of their mother, which, they lost way too soon. Come on in and welcome, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. What's up, Cheryl the Pearl? Cheryl the Pearl is volunteering her time as a moderator. So give her a hello, because she doesn't have to be here, child, but she is. So thank you, Cheryl the Pearl. But anyway, now we are talking about Sonya Massey and the loss of her life last year, July 6, 2024. And I had asked y'all a poll question because I just want to know what you thought on whether or not, if you got a chance to see the body cam, you thought there is a possibility, based on what you saw, that Sonya may have threatened the officer, Grayson, with boiling water. And 9% of y'all, or 8% right now, it says yes, was a possibility. 75% of you are saying no, zero possibility. And then I always give a third option, and 17% of y'all said that y'all were trimming your nose hair. What happened? So anyway, I asked the question because I wanted to see where the public was in its thinking. What I can tell you is that as of February 2025, this year, the state did settle on a wrongful death claim in the amount of $10 million. And that is being given to Sonia's children. So the state has already said we accept responsibility for this. The officer is on trial. The state, however, said, from what we saw, it happened, and they have given $10 million to her children, who are, I believe, age 17 and 15 right now. A boy and a girl, by the way. Come on in. Welcome to the chat. I appreciate y'all. The police, ooh, hold on, child. Y'all know I'm a little blind. The police were the ones to put a potential weapon in her hands. They weaponized her and then turned Karen. Okay. That's the first thing that I wanted to share with you guys, because typically it takes a little bit of time. There's 35 of you here. These are the stories that aren't as interesting to people. People can talk about Martell and Melody all day, child, but when it comes to facts that affects all of us, even though people say, I would love to get more information, they don't want this kind of information, but I'm going to share it anyway. I'm going to share it because, you know, it's something that I'm paying attention to, but come on in, y'all. So yeah, the family did receive it, and it didn't say whether or not there was a check issued, but it was approved by the board in February 2025. It says the Sangamon board, I'm assuming that's the county that she lives in, and she lived in the amount of 10 million. It also says that it will go to the children. So because they're underage, it could possibly be in a trust, or they're waiting to see how, you know, who's appointed for the children, and then they'll be able to access it that way. Come on in and welcome. I appreciate y'all for coming through on this Friday afternoon. But that's the first thing that I wanted to share with y'all, okay? And now I want to share some other details about the officer, Sean Grayson, and then I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about Sonya Massey or Massey, Massey. It depends on how you pronounce it. Come on in and welcome, y'all. Good morning, depending on where you are. It is 12:52 p.m. where I am, okay? And y'all bear with me because I have written a lot of notes on my phone, and I'm really trying to make sure that I stay where I am supposed to when I discuss these people. This trial is still going on. Today marks day 3 of testimony, just an FYI. Today marks day 3 of testimony. The first day of testimony was on Wednesday, and it sounded like a real tearjerker. They had witness and expert testimony, the witness being the partner that went in with Sean Grayson, and I have more details about that, so stick around for that. But they also showed the body cam footage that came from the partner, because Sean had turned his body cam off right before the incident. So there is, even though it was a 15-minute time span, he turned his body cam off. He knew enough to turn it off before doing the pow-powing, and then he turns it back on afterwards. Come on in, welcome. Now, I was looking up a couple of things. I had looked up a couple of things based on just questions that people had asked in the chat or in my comment section about Sean Grayson's, I guess his fiance. There was all kinds of stories that was coming out after this incident happened last year, where Sonya Massey had lost her life. But people thought that there was some sort of prior history with the officer, Grayson, or with his fiance, who I heard, we don't know this for sure, this is all alleged. I should say that, and y'all can see the scroll at the bottom of the screen, child. This is all alleged. But there was conversations that his fiance worked at a mental health institution where I guess she would go when she had episodes. She was aware that she would have episodes. She would always make provisions for her children before she went inside. These are things that I have read about her just to get some history and understanding. She has 2 kids, a boy and a girl, both teenagers. But they said that when the family would recognize, they would call to see if they could do wellness checks on her or have her, you know, institutionalized. So she was aware of it. The family was aware of it. It sounds like they had a pretty close-knit family, close enough to where they would always try to help her or make sure that the kids were stable. Those were very important points that I wanted to make before I came on this morning. The other thing that I read, because her mother and father, again, very, very present in her life. I saw that her father went and did a press conference where he said there was never a conversation they had that didn't end with, "I love you, daddy." Like, those are just some of the things, again, that we need to humanize people. Y'all get mad at me. Y'all get mad at me when I have conversations where I try to humanize people, child. "Oh, Diana, you're just so nice." And sometimes, but you got to humanize people because we can only be seen one way. You know what I'm saying? If someone says that you're crazy or you're nasty or you're mean, there's just, there's, that's it. That's the story, nothing else. But all of us have many sides, and we got to start talking about ourselves as people with many sides. Yes, she might have had mental health issues, but she was somebody's daughter. She was somebody's mama. Okay. And there were people that loved her and tried to keep her okay. She lived in a home by herself. She, like I said, they said that anytime she recognized that something was happening, that she was in a middle of a mental health crisis or episode, she would try to make provisions for her children to keep her children safe and stable. Thank you, Show the Pearl. Go ahead and hit that like button and share the video, please, and thank you. But I did find, they said that there is nothing that substantiates that Grayson or his fiance had any type of relationship with Massey at all. So that could have just been internet rumor, but that has not come up in trial either. Nothing about these people having some sort of prior relationship, acquaintanceship, interactions with the victim whatsoever. So I do want to say that, okay? For either party. Now I want to describe to you Sean Grayson. I want to give you guys a little history on him. He's also somebody's son, okay? He has people that love him. There's family members in the court case, in the trial right now. His family, his friends that are supporting him, that want to see him walk out of here. They're expecting this trial to go for about 2 weeks. 2 weeks before there is a verdict, but there are people that want him to come home. Okay, so let's start there. But I did want to find out what type of officer he was, what type of person was he before this incident played out, okay? And this is what I found. So I told y'all yesterday that he's been on the force for about 4 years, starting in 2020 through 2024, okay? Or part of 2024 before he was let go. But there are people that pretty much describe him as a very up and down type of person, okay? I was able to find out that he was discharged for some sort of misconduct in the military. So they didn't give details because you can't always find that stuff. When it comes to the military, those records are closed, but he was discharged before, he finished whatever he was supposed to be, whatever time he was supposed to be there. And it was not honorable. It was for a misconduct. That is what I was able to find, one of the things. But they said when he was interviewing for the job as a police officer, they said that they thought that he was very people-centric, that he seemed very mature, compassionate. He had excellent critical thinking skills. They also said that he had great communication. So these are some of the ways he was described during that interview process to become an officer all the way through training. They thought that he was going to be an excellent officer. By the way, come on in. Welcome, you guys. I see you, San Francisco Bay Area. Come on in. But like I said, people are multifaceted. There's dualities to people. Outside of being kicked out of the military, I didn't get an age or anything like that. It could have been when he was much younger. We don't know, but you grow and you learn. But they said he was also seen as a very mellow person, non-confrontational, good communication skills. That came up multiple times. Okay. One officer said in the sheriff's office that based on his background, they found nothing that would disqualify him from being a police officer in Illinois. So that was the first part. With some additional digging, there was some criticism and red flags. There were some people who said that sometime in 2015 and 2016, he had been arrested for a DUI. They also said, let me say this too, my bad, that when he was discharged from the military, it was after 19 months, is what it says. He had only been there for 19 months before being discharged. Hold on, let me just finish up Chittown. Here's the red flags. This is what I asked to see what the other things that were coming in. So initially, those were the things that people were describing. But they said after that, they said while he was working, that there was a couple of things that he had gotten dinged on. And I told y'all that he had been transferred at least 6 times within the 4 years in that department. They said that there were things that he had did as an officer, such as they found him to be, he would constantly have arguments with his superiors. There was a situation where he was driving 110 miles per hour. It didn't say that he was chasing anyone. It just sounds like he was just decided to drive that fast down the street in, I guess, his police cruiser, reaching 110 miles per hour in a 55 mile per hour zone. They said that he struck a deer and that he failed to show caution when caution was due. They said that they have audio recordings showing that there was a supervising officer admonishing him for integrity issues. And this is a quote: "The sheriff and I will not tolerate lying or deception from officers like you. There are others who have been charged and ended up in jail." This is an actual quote that came from audio, okay? Other complaints included alleged harassment and abuse of power against females in particular. There was an arrestee that alleged that Grayson improperly exposed her during a hospital visit. Despite these concerns, he had worked for 6 different law enforcement agencies in about 4 years, from 2020 to 2024, which in some analysis is a sign of insufficient job stability and behaviors. So on one hand, they initially thought that he had the credentials to move forward, but on another, it seems like there was some behavioral issues, as well as people saying that he had problems with temperament, including his superiors who said, listen, they made a threat. They said that he was writing up reports, that he was lying on reports, purposely falsifying reports. People saying that he could be terminated like officers before him for the exact same thing. I don't know who Tommy is, but that's cool. I'm just reading to you guys what I was able to find out. There were actual arrestees, so people that he had arrested who also reported him for misconduct. So even though he was initially described as well trained, later on, there were all kinds of issues that had him bouncing around from department to department. So again, when I was reading about police history and whether or not that was acceptable, you have a problem with one police department, you just move to another. They said that all of those would be considered red flags for most departments, and that is exactly what the supervisor who was in charge of the investigation said on Wednesday during his testimony. He said the exact same thing, that that would have been considered a red flag over the years. Okay. So, so they did talk about Sonia's mental health yesterday, from what I was able to see. I don't know if what part you're talking about, but I did read that they talked about her mental health for sure. Not just her mental health, but other stuff as well. So that was talked about, and I'll get to it in just a second. Now, I told y'all a little bit about Sonia already, 36 years old at the time. I talked to you guys about her mental health and what happened, okay? Now I'm going to share some other details. We're going back to what happened yesterday. Come on. And it's going to talk about the pot of boiling water. So on Wednesday, that was the first day of testimony. They had opening statements. Y'all can go back and watch the video that I did last night. Let me show it to you guys. This is a video I did last night regarding jury reactions and other details. The judge's reaction to the video, they all were really, really sensitive to it, I should say. So on July 6, 2024, Sonya Massey, a 36-year-old Black woman in Springfield, Illinois, had called 911 to report a suspected prowler. Deputies, and I told you guys the name of the deputies, Dawson Farley and Sean Grayson, the two of them actually responded to the call. They weren't able to find anything suspicious outside the home, no suspicious persons, but they did end up going inside the home. Farley had only been on the force for about 10 months before answering this call, and I told you guys already, Grayson was on the force for approximately or almost 4 years. Before the fatal confrontation actually happened, Grayson turns his body cam off going into the home. Only his partner Farley had his body cam on. The fatal confrontation actually occurred in the kitchen. Grayson had shot Massey 3 times. One round hit her in the face, in the head, right underneath the eye. He's charged with 3 counts of first degree, and the states actually dropped the lesser charges. He pled not guilty. He said it was self-defense. The prosecution, which is John Milheisner, he told the jury that the body cam footage shows that Massey posed no threat. So the state is who is taking this case to court. They said that there was no threat to Grayson, and even his own partner, actually his partner changed his written statement, but his partner also said that she posed no threat. They said that the reason why Grayson discharged his weapon is because he, quote, got mad at her in her own kitchen, and what he did was considered an unlawful justification. Grayson has 2 defense attorneys, Wyckoff and Daniel Foots. They said that she had taken a pot of boiling water after being asked to remove it, and they described it as her putting it over her head and threatening to toss it at the officer. Sorry about that. I have found nothing in writing that states that she did that or that that was actually observed on the body cam. Not at all. Not even in the cross-examination did I hear that, and I don't know if that will be presented next week, but I did not see it as of yet. But his defense team is saying that that is what happened and created the situation where he decided to discharge his weapon. I already told you that when they come into her home, the deputies asked her for her ID. And then she was also asked about the boiling water that was in the kitchen area. She was in the living room with the officers. There was really no reason for her to go into the kitchen area. And we'll have to find out later why Grayson decided to turn off his body cam. But Grayson tells her we don't need a fire, referencing to the pot on the stove. And they said that she picked up the liquid from the stove, moves it away, and then the deputies back away from her. They're on the other side of the counter, however. Grayson answers or says something to the extent of, "Where are you going?" She says, "I rebuke you in the name of Jesus." Grayson then pulls his weapon and says, "You better not fucking not. You better not. I swear to God, I'll fucking shoot you. I'll fucking shoot you in your face." That's a quote from the audio. And then he fires 3 shots, hitting her in the head and face area. After the shooting, Grayson tells his partner, "That's a headshot. She's done." Then expresses that he's not going to take hot boiling water to the fucking face. These are quotes that I am reading. When the body cam footage that you can see, you can pull it up, that was given to the public, we see her hold it, but we see her fall to the ground. It seemed like the water did go to the counter because it would have either poured on top of her since she did, hit the ground the way she did. And then when she lifts back up, that's when it appears that she was shot. Farley admitted that in his initial statement, 72 hours after the shooting, he feared that Massey might throw scalding water at them, but later he clarified that he never saw her lift the pot above her head. So he actually came back and said that it didn't happen the way they initially discussed it. He said, "I never saw her lift it above her head," and that his real fear was caused by his partner, Sean Grayson's actions. That's also what he testified to on Wednesday. He said those very words. "I wasn't afraid of her. I was afraid of my partner." Hey, Marcella. Welcome to the chat, girl. We're talking about this Sean Grayson trial. We need to make sure that we are protecting ourselves. The defense claims that the pot of boiling water was a weapon and an object of the threat. The prosecution actually disputes that and said that the pot was not a valid justification for deadly force. The lead investigating officer actually testified that based on the body cam footage, he realized that the situation was markedly different than initially assumed. They said that Grayson's body cam was not on and that the pot was not collected for 2 weeks after all of this went down. So there were all these conversations, and they said that this pot just showed up out of nowhere as a point of threat. So much so that the pot remained in her house and on the floor. They had to go back and get it. That's what they said. Okay. And this was the initial or the lead investigator. And I also talked to you guys about that in my video from yesterday, this one right here. The defense alleges that Massey lifted the pot of boiling water, literally taking it off of the stove and lifting it above her head in an attempt to throw it at Grayson. However, Farley testified that he didn't see her lift the pot above her head at all, and never at any time did he feel threatened by her. The video shows Massey picking up the pot, holding it, making the comment, I rebuke you in the name of Jesus. But it does not clearly show her in the act of raising it above her head and threatening to throw it, based on the summary of the video. Thank you. Hit the like button and share. Please, please, please. Okay? Hit the like button and share the video. So in summary, there is no uncontested, unambiguous evidence yet presented from, so far anyway, that Massey had threatened to throw the water at Grayson. But this is Grayson's defense, and he's going to have to show that this actually happened. The prosecution is saying that the footage doesn't show it because it didn't happen. And Grayson's partner, Farley, who was in the room at the time it happened and was the only one who had his body cam on the entire time, said that it did not happen the way Grayson described. Okay, so that's what we have so far. Welcome to the chat, everybody. I appreciate y'all. I know the subject matter may be heavy, but this trial is not being streamed. And so I do want to speak about it. And these are the stories that people should be talking about anyway, talking about what's going on in the world, because as y'all know, we are increasingly becoming a police state in every one of the 50 states, okay? Which means that these kind of things can happen, and there's really no way to justify it, okay? There's no way for us to fight it back. So far, the state of Illinois is the one who's prosecuting based on the body cam footage, and the county that Sonya Massey lived, they actually made a settlement. They agreed to give $10 million to the family in February of 2025. So what happened on that body cam footage was so egregious that they've already moved forward with settling with the family. Just so y'all know. They've already moved forward with settling with the family. The money will go to her children. She has 2 children, I believe the age of 17. The boy is 17. The girl, whose name I think is Sunny, she's 15. And both of them are in court. And they talked about how the kids have been coming in and out of the courtroom because it's just way too graphic for them to handle. The body cam footage was shown on Wednesday, and there was not a dry eye in the house, including Grayson's family and friends. People who were in the courtroom reported back that the family members, all of them, both Massey's family and Grayson's family, when they saw Farley holding a dish rag to Massey's wounds and, rocking her and, trying to figure out what to do, they said that he, basically people were just crying and covering their eyes. People in the jury box were crying so hard that tissues were being passed down to each juror, like literally, I'll take a tissue, pass it, take a tissue, pass it. There's one Black juror on the sitting in the jury box, by the way. They said that the judge was also not able to watch the footage, that he either looked down or looked at the door, looked down or looked at the door. That is how gruesome the video footage was. What else? The other thing that they said, one of the reporters that I had watched or read things about, one of the things they said was that Sean Grayson, who had been laser focused on everyone that had come up to the witness box to testify. They said that he was just laser focused, wasn't fidgety, writing notes, staring intently at whoever was sitting in that box. They said when the body cam footage was played, they said that it was odd that he started yawning and then tapping his feet and kind of making gestures like, wrap this up. They said that he yawned at least 4 times during the video footage, where everyone else is either audibly crying and having to walk out or wiping their eyes, or like I said, tissues are being passed. Some people covering their eyes, including his own family, who for the first time, I think, was seeing that body cam footage. So his own family was covering their eyes. They were covering their eyes and tears streaming down their face at what they saw. Just an FYI. Here's what happened in day 2 of testimony, and that would have happened yesterday, October 24th, Thursday, okay? Now, this was more of the forensics part of the testimony. They were showing actual pictures, autopsy. They had all sort of medical experts to come in and describe where the bullet entered, where it exited. There were 3 bullets, by the way, just an FYI, so you know. But one of the things that they said with one of the medical experts, is that if medical aid was rendered as it should have been based on protocol, because after the shots were made, this was a part of testimony, they did not call or dispatch for medical care. Apparently, Farley attempted to do it and was told not to by his partner, Grayson. Grayson said, it's a headshot. She's done. We're not administering aid. And he actually makes the quote, I refuse to waste my medical aid on this. That's why this is also important, because one of the doctors that were there actually says, that if, and the only reason why I'm lying is because there's someone in my comments who is screaming liar and making it seem like, I don't know if they're saying liar about the testimony, because this is testimony. I'm telling you what they said, okay? But that's the reason why I'm laughing. So I'm assuming that this could be a family member child, and that's okay. Have your fun, okay? But they did say that if aid was rendered, if medical aid was rendered, there is a possibility that her life could have been saved. They explained the reason why, which is very technical, but they actually said that the way the bullet passed, it did go into the brain, and they said that they have had incidents where if life-saving medical aid was rendered when it was supposed to have been rendered, if she would have gotten to the hospital on time and surgery was performed, that she still could have lived and everything, you know what I'm saying? She could have had a normal life. They said that there are instances where that have occurred. Anyway, so in the second day of trial, it focused largely on forensic evidence, the crime scene investigation, and expert testimony. Also, a forensic pathologist by the name of Nathaniel Patterson also testified about the fatal wound to Massey. He stated that she could have survived the gunshot wound if bleeding had been controlled and medical aid was rendered appropriately. They said that the aid was not rendered. Again, this is all stuff that was heard in court yesterday, that she was denied medical aid. And that has been, actually, again, y'all can see this for yourselves. I'm not going to play it here, but you definitely can just pull it up. Google it, you'll see it there. And you'll hear him say that he's not going to waste his medical aid on the situation. It's a headshot. She's done. The jury was also shown autopsy photos of Massey. The defense fought not to have those photos shown. They kept doing sidebars in order to keep the jury in the courtroom from seeing it. I don't know how many pictures they had in total, but the judge initially said, okay, we're only going to show one photo because he thought it would be too much for the jury. And then he allowed 10 photos to be seen, but they ended up showing 10 in the trial. Investigators from the Illinois State Police testified about the evidence and its collection. They recovered 3 shell casings, though only 2 were found immediately the night of the incident. The third was recovered 48 hours after. They also noted that the alleged pot of boiling water, sat in the home for weeks uncollected by investigators. They said about 2 weeks that the pot had stayed inside of the home. They also said that Grayson's former partner, Farley, had earlier contradicted the defense's claim that on day 1, Massey posed a threat. And I already told you guys that. He actually said that he did lie and he wanted to change it. And then on stand Wednesday, he actually says, I just want to do right by Massey or Sonya and Massey's family, the Massey family. That's how he put it. He said, I just wanted to do right by her. Apparently his conscience got the best of him. I'm not sure, he's not on trial, but I'm not sure why he would change his testimony outside of the fact that maybe he just felt bad and knew he lied. I mean, what does he get out of it to change his testimony prior to it even coming to trial? Prior to even coming to trial, he came in and changed his report. So the forensic testimony suggests that the shooting outcome could have been different if medical intervention was timely. And this is what they stressed in court yesterday, that her life could have been saved, that she could still be here as a mother to her children. This is also the reason why the state is arguing complete and total negligence and excessive force from Grayson. The expert's view is that Massey did not act in any way threatening, and that it undercuts the defense's justification to even use lethal force. The crime scene details regarding the pot and the shell casings raised questions about the defense's narrative that the pot was being used as a weapon. Again, they said that this was not seen on the body cam footage that was seen on the partner. So only the partner left his camera on. Grayson turned his camera off on purpose prior to discharging his weapon. What remains unresolved at this point in time is that the defense remains committed to the narrative that Massey lifted a pot of boiling water over her head, even though it has not been proven as of yet. So we don't know if there's something else that's going to be pulled out of the rabbit's hat, if there's a rabbit that's going to be pulled out of the hat, but that hasn't been proven as of yet. However, several people did testify yesterday that they believed Massey's life could have been saved if she would have received the appropriate medical attention, if she wasn't denied medical attention. Okay. What are you screaming, sir? Um, Okay, so that's pretty much it. Today is day 3 of the trial. I'll let you guys know what comes up next. This man is on trial. He'll be on trial for 2 weeks, is what they're assuming. Right now, it's up to the prosecution to prove their case. He is on trial for 3 felony counts of M, period. Okay? It is what it is. The other parts of what I shared with y'all today is accurate. They have already settled the case. The county has already approved a $10 million settlement that is to go to her children. Okay. Now, whether or not this is his defense that this pot of boiling water was thrown at him or attempted to be thrown at him, that is his defense, and it still has to be proven. That is what I understand it to be. And we'll talk about it as we go along. Okay. My job is not to prove guilt or innocence for him here. He is on trial. That is why he is on trial. Okay? So, period. Everybody understands that. But outside of that, you guys, is there anyone else who has any thoughts or comments that they would like to share, or any questions that you would like to share? You are pro Sonya. I do think that her life was taken absolutely unprovoked, 1000%. This is my channel. I am biased. My name is right there on the marquee. Okay. Diana Rose. This is not CNN. This isn't the New York Times. This isn't the Wall Street Journal. This is Diana Rose's channel. I don't think anybody is denying that. And you should get yourself a channel where you can talk about whatever you want to, and we can hear your biased ass opinion. You understand how that works? But what I saw, that woman did nothing, okay? Did nothing to warrant 3 shots to her dome, period. Could he have done other things? Absolutely. It did not have to be a headshot. It could have been to her body, or he could have let that damn water sit right there on the fucking stove the way it was. It was not bothering him. She was in the living room sitting on the couch. They had already did their job. There was nothing else to do. You got her ID. You said that there wasn't a prowler outside her home. That means you leave her home. That's it. Going inside, telling her what to do in her home, that suggests to me that there's a problem. So I agree with the prosecution taking this to trial. I sure do. 1000%. If I called a cop to my house and I thought there was harm that was coming to me by way of an intruder, once you get inside my home, you don't tell me how to cook a cheese toast or make cereal or anything else. Her ass with no weapons was sitting on her own couch, handing them an ID, and that's where it should have ended. They should have, at the end of the day, I think you have something on the stove that you should, maybe remove, but you take care and then you get yourself up out of there. That's what I would have done. That's what I would have done. But outside of that, that's where I am. And until I see something different, I am going to keep that theory. I'm going to keep that thought. And I have every right to. Every right. I'm not changing it at all. Okay? Period. And like I said, as of right now, I am 1000% on the prosecution's side. The state prosecutor who said it was a cold-blooded, unprovoked slain. This also came from the investigative officer who testified against Grayson and medical experts who testified against Grayson. Okay, so that's where it is. You don't get to come inside this woman's home and tell her what to do with what's on her stove. You chose to. She seemed to be complying to me. That's where I am with it. She would have had severe burns, and they did not show that in any part of her autopsy at all. Even putting the pot of boiling water of her head does not line up with the testimony. People love to come over here and try to bully you into believing bullshit. Okay? They really do. They really do. But we are all, listen, we all know better. We all know better. So it is what it is. I asked the question. He is considered innocent until proven guilty. But if his mama, daddy, girlfriend, fiance, friends are all sitting there boo-hooing over what they saw happen on that body cam footage, it is what it is. If they couldn't even keep their shit together and they were there to support him, and they're covering their eyes and crying and choked the fuck up and having to leave outside the courtroom based on what they saw and heard, if he is sitting there yawning and tapping his damn feet like he got other things to do while that body cam footage is showing, well, come back next week then, Tommy. You have a right to feel what you feel, and so do I. But on YouTube, okay, these are YouTube channels. We are here to give commentary and opinion, and it will always be biased. I'm not here to make you feel better about what I've read and seen. I'm here to give you my opinion on that. What I read and seen, and my opinion is mine. But there's probably people that feel the way you feel. You just got to go over there and find them. Okay. But anyways, I've been up here for about an hour. I just wanted to see what your comments were. You guys actually said that you thought there was zero probability that she attempted to throw the water. They did talk about her mental health yesterday, you guys. Like I said, that's just known. They also said that she had Delta, some sort of, I don't know what it's called, CBD in her system. Those are the things that they said. I didn't say you was talking bullshit, but you were in my comments calling me a liar. I'm reading directly from reports that for people that was inside the courtroom, and you're calling me a liar and then saying that I was mean to you. Oh my goodness. It would be different if she said that I was going to throw the pot of water on you. Then she said it, but that was a different story, right? There was no threat to throw the water. Once she ducked down below the counter with the pot still on the counter, that says to me that there was no threat to throw. She ducks down first. When she rises back up, that's when the shots happen. But it didn't drop it, and then she drops to the floor. When she comes back up is when he actually discharges the weapon. That's the first thing. Secondly, and we can hear that from the body cam from his partner. You can hear it. We see her drop. We see her come back up. If I did say you was talking bullshit, what you gonna do? I don't know what you want me to do here. Child. Anyways, y'all, I appreciate everybody who came over to hang out today, but I'm gonna wrap it up because the scariest part of YouTube is you don't always know who you're talking to. You know what I'm saying? Y'all see my face, y'all can find out information about me, but I don't know who I'm talking to. And sometimes people ain't wrapped too tight. You know what I'm saying? They're just not wrapped. The curl doesn't go all the way over. Okay. And then they start talking crazy. And now I have to have people investigate it. That's just wild. But we'll talk about it later. We'll talk about it at another time. What I wanted to just stress yesterday is that, or today, is that they said that medical aid could have saved her life and that she could still be here today if it was not for the officers choosing not to render aid. And I did think that that was some sad, sad shit. Okay. But I appreciate y'all for coming through, hanging out, and listening to this part. And if you guys could share this video, please, as many people as possible. Don't block this person, please. Leave them there, because if something does happen, I need to make sure that we are able to have the URL traced. Outside of that, you guys, I appreciate y'all. Until the next one, bye-bye.